Yay, time to try this out. Ooh, outfits. The most important way of the game. That's not an improvement. What is that? Okay, they're only available in Great Ace Attorney 2. That Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Sholmes. Why does a lawyer need a sword? Oh, there are awards too. Game automatically. Some accolades may not be available if you use story mode. Well, obviously, because you're not playing the game, you're watching a movie. That at least makes sense.
The Empire of Japan. After opening its doors, a push for cultural transformation brought great waves of Western influence to this far eastern island nation. The revolution washed over the land, making life in the capital exciting and unsettling.
It's almost like an episode of Black Butler.
Change, and some was swept away by the tide. But for one man, the turbulence of that era was just the beginning of an extraordinary story.
That pin would hurt him if he looked down. It sounded less than a typewriter and more like gunshots. I still can't believe it. I still can't believe this is happening. How can it be just beyond the doors to this quiet little chamber? Ellipses. Every ellipses, you must take a drink. Ellipses is the highest court in Japan, waiting to decide my fate? Oh, it looks beautiful. What? Ellipses, what? Oh, no, nothing ellipses. I need a counter for ellipses. I really do. Savior glares. Ellipses. Murderer. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. Sorry, ellipses. My name is Ryunosuke Naruhado. I'm a second-year student at the Imperial Yume University. 3 days ago, I somehow found myself in the middle of a horrifying accident. Or incident, excuse me. And now, here I am, awaiting my trial. That's enough. Where's that wind coming from? Where is it come? He's not obliged to listen to such abuse, officer. Who are you? I'm this man's lawyer. I'll be defending him today. Lawyer, you have a fucking sword! Yes, and until the judge has given his verdict on the case, ellipses, no one has the right to treat him as a criminal, so you will hold your tongue. Technicalities. Look at you. You haven't even graduated yet. And yet, I still seem to know better than you how a court officer should behave by brandishing swords at people. Right, Ryunosuke? Oh, yes, of course. Sorry. Ellipses. What are you apologizing to me for? Oh, ellipses. No, I suppose that wasn't my fault. Ellipses. But really, Kazuma, I never meant to drag you into this. I'm sorry, ellipses. Ha 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 ha. There you go again, apologizing. Just like always. Ellipses. Though I must say, you've been all over the newspapers these past few days. Yume University professor murdered in cold blood by student. But obviously, ellipses, you didn't actually do it, did you? No, of course not. You have to believe me. I didn't do it. Ellipses. I could never murder someone, ellipses, except dialogue. Then there's nothing to worry about. Straighten yourself up. Hold your head high. Yeah, about the straight thing. You mean ellipses? I believe you. I know you're innocent, Ryunosuke. Kazuma Asogi, my best friend. Also, in his second year at Yume University. But he's far more clever than I, a star student in fact. He's even a qualified lawyer. Impressive, considering he's still an undergraduate. It's not that impressive. How did you read my thoughts? I demand to know how you read my mind. The very concept of lawyers is only a few years old, here in Japan anyway. My qualifications don't mean much yet. Wait a minute, if lawyers are a new thing, does that mean everyone was just guilty, or there was just the judge? He said exactly the same thing 3 days ago. I'm proud to have a friend like you, Kazuma. Truly. 3 days ago, ellipses. Yes, that's when all this started, ellipses. Congratulations, Kazuma. Looks like you're going to get to study abroad at last. I know. I've been forever dreaming of this day. Finally, those government elites have acknowledged my academic achievements and successes in court. So you'll be representing Japan and immerse yourself in the most sophisticated legal system in the world. I'm really happy for you and proud as your friend. There's not a soul in the university who doesn't know Kazuma's name. He's a living legend. It's like there's some mysterious aura billowing around his temple. I'm not sure I get that, but okay. I want to bring about change in our own legal system. He's the villain! That is a dangerous thing to say. I'm calling it right now. He is the villain. That's why I have to cross the ocean to see the real thing with my own eyes. The heart of the British Empire. I wish I could see it too. Ellipses. I missed one. Then come with me. We'd have a wild time tearing up the streets of Her Majesty's city, London, together. If only it were that simple, ellipses. Oh dear. Look at the time. I'd better be going. Alright. I'll see you later. I think I'll stay and enjoy this place a while longer. Good idea. After all, it's not every day you get to visit a high-class Western restaurant like this. See you in English class tomorrow then, ellipses, partner. And then he faded from existence. It was straight after that. There's that word again. That's when it happened, ellipses. Asogi, may I have a word? Oh. Professor, I didn't know you were coming. Well, this case has personal significance to me. But never mind that for now, Asogi. You should go immediately to the judge's chambers. To His Excellency's chambers? Why? He was looking for you before. You advocating for the defense in this trial was a sudden decision. And there seems to be some confusion about procedures today as a result. Oh, I see the judge. The last three judges on the top right look exactly like the Phoenix Wright judge. Who is this man? I feel as though I've seen him at university before, ellipses. Yeah, he's a professor. I see. I'll go at once then. I shall accompany you. Alright then, Ryunosuke. I'll see you in the courtroom. Yes, thanks, Kazuma. Also, your bandana is being blown by a wind that affects no one else. Is it the winds of change? I don't know. Is it hero wind? Something? Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. Wow, the dialogue, so good. Thank you. Thank you, Capcom. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. Ugh, this is awkward, ellipses. Yes, this is very awkward. This is awkward for me for playing the game and having to read through ellipses. If I may, ellipses. Yes, sorry. You must be the defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, I believe. Yes, that's right. My name is Yujin Mikotoba. I'm a professor of forensic medicine at Yume University. I'm gonna call bullshit on that. Ah, Professor Mikotoba, ellipses. I've heard that name from Kazuma before. As I recall, he's been pushing to get the government to agree with Kazuma studying abroad. Asogi has told me about you. You and he are best friends, I understand, and the best friends is very important. Don't ship them. Ellipses? As such, I feel you should know ellipses. Well, we all know about ellipses, unfortunately. Know what? Well, as you've no doubt heard, Asogi has been granted permission to go and study in Great Britain. However, ellipses, if he should fail to defend you in today's trial, ellipses. Ellipses, I'm afraid that permission will be revoked, ellipses, and never granted again. What? Ah, I suspected, ellipses. You were unaware of this. I had a feeling Asogi may have chosen not to tell you. Ellipses! He's agreed to defend me, knowing that if he fails, his dreams will be shattered. We cannot both achieve our dreams? But I do not understand. Why would the government do such a thing? The administration has to choose from a large number of applicants for overseas study. It's very difficult to persuade them to grant permission, even in the most favorable of circumstances. I don't believe it, ellipses. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. But I, ellipses. I didn't do it, I swear. I'm not a murderer, ellipses. I'm sure that's true. Nevertheless, ellipses, I can assure you that proving your innocence will be no easy task. You see, there are certain ellipses, peculiarities about today's trial. Sorry? What do you mean? You'll soon understand once proceedings get underway. Ellipses! But ellipses, then what should I do? Well, ellipses. Naturally, I'm not going to suggest doing anything that could lead to a conviction. Right, so, ellipses. As soon as the trial starts, ellipses. Ellipses, the judge will pose a certain question to the defense. When that happens, you must answer before anyone else. You must say, I do. I do? But, ellipses, what? But what will the question be? Surely, ellipses, not ellipses. Do you accept the accusations brought before you, ellipses? Of course not. Defendant! Court is about to begin. Proceed to the courtroom at once. Ah, it would seem our surreptitious discussions are about to be cut short. So allow me to summarize, ellipses. Kazuma Asogi must not be the defense lawyer in this trial. Oh, he's trying to dissuade me so I don't ruin his future of my best friend in orange text. Of course, as the defendant, the final decision is yours. What are you waiting for? Do you want to be found guilty for failing to appear? Get moving! There's no point in anyone advocating for the likes of you anyway. This is it, ellipses. If this trial goes badly, ellipses. Ellipses, Kazuma's dreams of studying abroad are over. And what's more, ellipses. Ellipses, I'll be found guilty, ellipses, of murder. Best friend murder, apparently, because we don't use a different color other than orange. And so, ellipses, with absolutely no idea of what lay ahead, I embarked on that unforgettable trial. My one and only chance of proving my innocence, the trial that would decide my destiny. Best friend destiny. Do you just not understand what a typewriter sounds like? So this, ellipses, is a courtroom, ellipses? Oh god, look at his eyes. Looks like a frog. The frickin' hero wind. The Supreme Court of Judicature. No court in the land has more power. I don't much like the look of these people sitting in the public gallery. They all seem to be communists of some kind. Lots of military and other uniforms in their ellipses. The powers that be have demanded that this be a secret trial. A secret trial? A trial that's closed to ordinary members of the public. Only military and government officials may attend. But why would they want to? I know plenty of people in the military. They don't want to do crap like this. It's just like, oh, there's a secret trial today. Yeah, that's nice. I'm gonna go home early. If that's all the same to you. What? But why? It'll become clear in time. But for now, ellipses. Ellipses, you need to concentrate, Ryunosuke. It's time to begin. It's hard to concentrate when I see your sword hilt coming directly out of your hips, sir. Especially with the hero wind. Oh, there's pain. court will now hear the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. The prosecution is ready, Excellency. As is the defense, with a C and not an S, I may add. Before we begin... Oh wait, no, that wasn't his voice. Before we begin, there's one point of order I would like to confirm. Yesterday evening, the defense has made a last-minute request for a change of advocate. That's correct, Your Excellency. I made the request myself. Normal procedure is for the defendant's advocacy to be decided 2 days prior to the trial. Therefore, guilty! As this is an unusual circumstance, I am obliged to ask for final confirmation now. Who advocates for the defendant in this trial? This is it. This must be the question. That old man set me up to fail. Who's going to defend me? That's the question the professor meant. But then, if I say I do, we'll be married. Ellipses, 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 ellipses. I need to answer quickly. What should I do? I do!
Yes!
Oh god, he's so nervous. What is this meaning of this unruly outburst? I certainly hope this will not become a running theme throughout the entirety of the game, and possibly the staple of the franchise. I would like to inform the court that ellipses, I, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, will be defending myself. You'll be? What? Ellipses. What are you playing at, Ryunosuke? Professor Mikotoba told me everything just now before the trial. He did what? He said that your dreams of studying abroad would be dashed if you were to lose. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. How sad. It means you don't have faith in me. You think I won't be able to get you off. Oh, I know you will be able to get me off, Kazuma. Don't you worry. No, it's not that, really. It's just that ellipses. Well, on the off chance that things don't go well for me, I couldn't bear the reason that you, ellipses. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. Yes. I knew that's how you'd feel, which is exactly why I decided not to tell you. Tisk. Professor Mikotoba shouldn't have stuck his nose in. Very well. The court hereby recognizes the defendant's desire to advocate for himself in today's trial. Well, ellipses. Does the accused admit defeat already, renouncing his own counsel? Really?
Objection!
Make no mistake, counsel, ellipses. This merely shows the defendant's innocence is so apparent he's confident to speak for himself. Isn't that so, Naruhodo-san? Ellipses. Oh, yes, exactly. I've had so much cocaine, I can't keep my eyes closed. Exactly what I wasn't thinking. I'm not confident at all. In fact, my mind's a complete blank. It's a good thing he's wearing a black uniform. In fact, my mind's a complete blank, ellipses. Oh, don't lean on it like that, Kazuma. Don't do that to me. It takes the wind right out of my bandana. I realize you're in charge now, but still, ellipses. Try not to look so bewildered. Well, for a mere university student to be brought before the Supreme Court, ellipses. Ellipses, you must have perpetrated a most heinous crime indeed. As you are no doubt aware, this is a Supreme Court of Judicature in Japan. Accordingly, the very highest standards of conduct expected of all present. Do I make myself clear, Defendant Naruhado? Yes, ellipses, Your Excellency. It is therefore my duty to assess your competence for the task you have undertaken. Please don't. No. 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 My competence? What does that mean? He's questioning your ability to do the job. Also, I got my hero wind back. Well, he can't be questioning it more than I am. So let's start with the very simplest of questions. Oh, ellipses, yes. Kindly state before the court the name of the victim in this case. Well, that's easy enough. I've heard his name more times than I'd care to remember. But, ellipses, wait. Ugh, I'm so nervous I can't even remember that. What was it again? Ryunosuke, ellipses. Let me guess. Your mind's gone blank. Ellipses. You know me so well. All the relevant information for this case can be found in the court record. But I can't even find that, ellipses. It's simple. You can access the court record with the press of R. Okay? If you ever find you've forgotten something, just consult it. That's all. It's all in there. I just have to press R for the court record? Now try switching to people instead with R. Oh! You'll find details about the victim are in here. Once you're done, just press B to go back. John H. Wilson, the victim of this case. He is visiting a professor of medicine at Yume University from the British Empire. He looks like Watson. Tatsushi Aochai, lead prosecutor of this case, would appear to have little love for the changes the Cultural Reformation has brought about. Eugen Mikotoba, a medical professor at the Imperial Yume University. He's an authority in forensic medicine and Kazuma's mentor. A second year at the Imperial Yume University. He's my best friend and, despite being a student, a qualified defense lawyer as well. So remember, everything to do with the current case can be found in the court record. I have to treat you like an idiot. Death occurred a little after 2 p.m. and was caused by loss of blood from a gunshot to the chest. The bullet did not pass through the victim's body. Okay. Pectoral ballistic trauma, no exit wound, bullet did not pass through the body. The fact that they had said that twice means it's going to be brought up. Male, British, time of death, 19th November, shortly after 2 p.m. Oh, no date, no year date though. It says, proof that I'm a student at Imperial Yume University. I always wear it on the collar of my uniform jacket. Now, you better not keep His Excellency waiting any longer. Go on. Find the victim in the people section of the court record and press X to present. Try it now. The X button is on top. It's very, very confusing to my fingers. Yes! The victim's name was Dr. John H. Wilson. He looks exactly like Watson. Well, ellipses. Well, at least you can remember the name of an esteemed member of your own university. Dr. Wilson was a visiting professor from England, invited to Yume University 3 years ago. Indeed, which is the reason why this case has such profound implications. The British Empire, ellipses. Ellipses is at present our country's most valuable foreign ally. And as most of you will be aware, we have just signed a new treaty together after lengthy negotiations. There can't be anyone who hasn't heard of the Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation. Best friendship. And yet, these are delicate circumstances. The blood of an Englishman has been spilt on our soil. The two of you, both being undergraduates at Imperial Yume University, are you not? Can we just call it IYU? Because we're saying it a lot. Murdering a professor from the very institution that provides your education, ellipses? Have you no honor? Ugh, ellipses. But I didn't do it, ellipses. The case is coming under great scrutiny from our allies on the other side of the world. The court therefore wishes for a speedy resolution to this matter. In other words, our feeble government is scared of upsetting England's policymakers. And you're a convenient and expendable scapegoat to blame for this crime. So that's why this trial has these unusual peculiarities, is it? Exactly. Our government needs to convict someone as quickly as possible. All because the victim was an Englishman. Yes, Dr. Wilson was an Englishman, ellipses. I'm glad we established this for the last 10 minutes. But nationalities and treaties won't make any difference from here for me here. The fact is, I was there at the scene of the crime, ellipses. Oh dear, look at the time. I'd better be going. Alright, see you later. I think I'll stay and enjoy this place a little longer. Good idea. After all, it's not every day you get to visit a high-class Western restaurant like this. See you in English class tomorrow then. Ellipses, partner. Fade from existence with your coffee. The British Empire, ellipses. Wow, it's so incredible to think, dash. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. Wait. I've seen that man at university. I'm sure he's a visiting professor from Great Britain. I don't know his name, but still, ellipses, I should go and say hello with this gun. So I went over to the professor's table, ellipses, and shot him. A good look, ellipses, and introduced myself to Dr. Wilson. Now then, ellipses, let me pose my question to you, Defendant Naruhado. Yes, Your Excellency. I'm not nervous. How did this professor of medicine, Dr. John H. Wilson, lose his life? State before the court the cause of death. Cause of death, ellipses. Well, obviously that was ellipses. Ellipses. Ryunosuke, ellipses. Remember that in court, every assertion must be backed up by evidence, just like every conversation with me is backed up by my sexy glare. By evidence? But how? Find the piece of evidence that shows the professor's cause of death and select present. Do it now! Yes! Well, according to this document, the victim suffered from a hemorrhagic death due to gunshot screamer. Learn to read, you imbecile. That's the post... that's not his voice. Learn to read, you imbecile. That's not the post-mortem report, I take it. Sorry, yes, that's right. The, post-mortem report. In the West, a doctor dissects corpses to identify the cause of death in an autopsy. But here in Japan, a police officer merely inspects the body and draws conclusions that way. It's an incredibly unscientific method. Oh, I see! As long as I'm going to be tested on any of this later. This so-called photographic print of the scene of the crime. You can clearly discern scorch marks around the bullet hole produced by the powder explosion. In other words, we should assume that the victim was shot at close range. Thank you, Counsel. The court will accept this modern scientific evidence into the record. He was shot on the left side. So that's a photographic print. Well, that's something I've never seen before, ellipses. It's clearly superior to a drawing. The detail is incredible, ellipses. Very well. I'm satisfied with your answers. Let us start the trial. What did he just do? Certainly, Your Excellency. So, without further ado, in order to better apprise the court with the facts of this case, ellipses. Ellipses. The prosecution hereby calls its first witness who was there at the scene of the crime when it happened. Ugh. This is it. Ellipses. Ellipses. I think I may have worked out what the professor had in mind. The professor? You mean Dr. Mikotoba? Yes. Clearly, you're the defense lawyer here today, not me. But that doesn't mean, ellipses. Well, I can still act as your assistant. Your number 2. Ah, of course. When he was speaking with me before, he simply said, Kazuma Asogi must not be the defense lawyer in this trial. He really has been sticking his oar in, hasn't he? Maybe, but, ellipses, any help you can give me would be greatly appreciated, Kazuma. Well, my first piece of advice is, rein in that crazy look of bewilderment and control the cold sweats. Only if you rein in that crazy headband and control the cold stares first, ellipses. Those are not cold stares, those are looks of longing and desire. The maitre d'. Witness, state your name and occupation for the court, please. Oh, of course. My name is Saratoga Hosonaga. I'm the head waiter at the Western-style restaurant called Le Carnival. Ahem. Ellipses. Ahem. Oh god, he's bleeding. He has corona. Ellipses. Are you alright? You seem to be coughing up some, ellipses. There should be a blood stain. It's a regular occurrence. It really doesn't bother me. It bothers the rest of us, Hosonaga. It bothers us. Well, it really should, ellipses. Nope, I don't want to do that. Back. As everyone knows, the capital's southeastern quarter was developed for foreign visitors some years ago. It's become a very fashionable district now, full of hotels to accommodate overseas guests. This grim crime occurred in one of those districts, so-called restaurants, an Occidental eatery 3 days ago.
Understood. Osanga-san, you will kindly tell the court everything you can about the incident.
At once, sir. And no petty interjections from the aspiring lawyer boy, please. Oh, ellipses. Perspiring, maybe, but aspiring, ellipses? It was just after 2 p.m. on the day in question. We have a few dinners at that time of day. The lunchtime rush was over and there were only 3 tables still occupied. That fits in with my memory of it too. There was hardly anyone else in the place. Ahem, ellipses. It was then I was in the kitchen putting away crockery and cutlery, ellipses. Does anyone else taste copper? A gunshot rang out, so I hurried out to the dining area to see what had happened. I found the victim, an English gentleman, slumped in his chair. And standing immediately beside him, gun in hand, was the accused university student.
Yes!
Wait, did you just admit guilt? Hold on, let me clarify something here. While I did pick up a gun and found that I found lying on the floor beside the professor, ellipses. Yeah, it just happened to be lying there, guys. You gotta believe me. I didn't shoot him.
Objection!
I believe I asked you before to refrain from petty interjections. The court wishes to listen to the witness's report of what he saw. You amateur. But, ellipses.
The next time you interrupt at an appropriate time, you will be penalized, Defendant Narado.
Don't worry, Ryunosuke. We'll have your chance to fight back. For now, we must just quietly listen to the witness. Ugh, ellipses. If I may confirm 1 point, waiter, ellipses. Standing beside the victim with a gun in hand was the same man we see here in court today. Yes, without question. Let me take a picture for Maki. There we go. Yes, without question. I see. And apart from the accused, was there anyone else standing beside the victim? That should really have stains. No. There was no one else at that table but the deceased Englishman and the university student. Huh? Wait, did he just say... There was no one else around the table? What's the matter, Ryunosuke? That's... ellipses. That's just not right! When I went over to Dr. Wilson to say hello, ellipses... Ellipses, there was a woman sitting opposite him at his table. Really? And that's not something the waiter could have missed. I've been warned about interjecting, but still, ellipses, what should I do? Wait and see. I desperately want to say something, but I was told not to interject. Ryunosuke, ellipses. If your parents tell you to study, you're the kind of man who would diligently get to work, aren't you? I suppose I am. I'd never have gotten into Yume University otherwise. Please don't lean on the sword like that, Kazuma, you're just, But you can't always just follow the rules in life, you know. If you don't say what you want to say right now, you'll seriously regret it when you're found guilty. So I was told not to do the thing, but I have to do the thing. Ellipses, alright. You've scared me. I won't forget that piece of evidence in a hurry. You've convinced me, not you've scared me. Ryunosuke, what the hell is wrong with you? There is something I want to say. I'm just going to shut my eyes and say it.
Yes!
Just a moment, please. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone that day. I'm sure of it. There was a lady sitting with him at the same table.
Objection!
Dear me, dear me. What are we going to do with you? With your blatant disregard for court proceedings, I'm beginning to wonder if you're not a fraud. Could it be that the accused, this mere student, is not a real lawyer at all? But, ellipses, I'm sure of what I saw. Hasanoga-san, is there any chance that you're mistaken? Perhaps your memory of the events is hazy? Perhaps one of us has a special power that reads memories and shows them to the court? Some sort of bullshit like that? Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. No. Ooh. I must collect these for Maki. The deceased gentleman came to dine alone. I don't believe it, ellipses. Ahem. Ellipses, ahem. I actually have a rough plan of the restaurant as it was that day. Why would you have that? Why would you make that? No waiter does that. Please, have a look if you'd like to. I've worked in the food industry. Nobody does that. Let me see.
Let me see, ellipses. Ah, a sketch of the establishment's layout drawn by yourself, I presume.
That's right. I'm afraid I used the back of my business card. It was a ellipses turbulent situation. There's something on the back. I need to see it. However, as you can see, the gentleman in question was seated alone.
Well, you're clearly a very conscientious waiter.
Yep, I bleed all over everything. Thank you, sir. This man should not be serving food.
Then the court will take this plan and add it to the court record as evidence.
Oh, well, ellipses, ellipses.
Is there a problem? Hand the plan to the court officer at once, or I will destroy you.
Ellipses, of course. Here you are. What was that about? He's completely calm and collected until now. Something certainly seems to have shaken him, ellipses. This man is dying. Sir, you need the vaccine. Oh boy. Oh god. Please. Waiter's business card is quickly enter into the court record before he dies. So, ellipses. The court has heard the précis of the case. Why do you do that with your hands?
Yes, at the moment the gunshot was heard in the restaurant, ellipses. Ellipses, the only person in close proximity to the victim was the defendant on trial today. It would seem we are looking at a black and white case here.
Ellipses.
Defendant Naruhodo, ellipses.
Yes, Your Excellency.
If you admit your guilt at this stage, the court is willing to look mercifully upon you.
In other words, you may have some small reprieve in terms of your inevitable punishment. I called this waiter as an unsworn witness in order to explain the details of the case to the court. Unsworn? But I must warn the defense. If you are determined to pursue matters further into this trial, ellipses. Ellipses, the prosecution has decisive evidence from sworn witnesses who were present at the scene of the crime. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. What do you think I should do, Kazuma? What do you mean? Just stare sexily at them. That's what I'd do. Well, I'm going to be found guilty one way or another, it seems. Wouldn't it be sensible to plead guilty at this stage and hope for a more lenient sentence? Normally, yes, that would be the logical thing to do, but this is an Ace Attorney game. We're going to draw this out for hours. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. Everyone keeps telling me that this trial is unusual, and these ellipses peculiarities. You've said it, Professor Mikotoba said it, ellipses, and so has the judge and the prosecution. I'm ellipses. I'm scared of what lies ahead if I push this. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. As I said from the outset, I believe you're innocent. I trust you. And yet, despite knowing that, ellipses, you're willing now to throw that trust back in my face? Is that it? Well, I would never spit back. What? If the accused is in fact innocent, ellipses, then the defense lawyer is duty-bound to prove that innocence by whatever means necessary. Are you just going to abandon that duty? Are you going to give up on yourself? The battle hasn't even begun yet, Ryunosuke. Ellipses. Whoa! The defense pleads not guilty, Your Excellency, by my sexy bandana. We invite the prosecution to stop making empty threats and bring out its witnesses. And we'll see just how decisive this evidence really is.
Indeed. Prosecutor Achi, please continue with the proceedings.
Tisk, well, you were warned. The young can be so reckless. You know, many call me a saint, but I can be a devil when I want to be. What? Wait. Why would you... Ugh, ellipses. In a few short moments from now, ellipses, that dumbstruck young mouth of yours will be silenced, forever. The prosecution calls its next witness. Witnesses, okay.
Very well. Officer, bring forth the witnesses at once, all of them.
Okay. Witnesses, kindly state your names and occupations for the court. Yes, sir. The Great Nippon Imperial Army Surgeon Ayasa Nosa reporting for duty, sir.
Myself, I find employ as a fair fine articles of antiquity from the effervescence of our nation, Nippon, ellipses, and conduct my trade from Rasute, a humble premises in the 2nd District, Kairia Korka. Kairio Korkuta, at your service. An antique dealer and a soldier? Ellipses? What an unusual pairing! I don't think we'll get any comedic value out of this one.
Both of these gentlemen were present at the restaurant on the day in question. They must be the diners at the table that the waiter mentioned. Myself, I habitually take to the tea of the most exquisite aroma at the establishment in question, always post-noon. And not infrequently, converse with interested parties regarding the curios with which I make my business. I can't understand a word that old man is saying, ellipses. He's an antique dealer, and it sounds like he's a regular at Le Carnival. He seeks out potential customers who may have an interest in antiques and tries to sell his wares to them. He obviously targets Le Carnival because it's a high-class restaurant with rich clientele. Rich like my features. Right, I see. Although, to be honest, ellipses, that sergeant looks more like he'd be a seller rather than a buyer. Now, you both witnessed the precise moment of this most atrocious incident. Is that correct? Affirmative. The enemy unit was seen attacking the foreigner in what can only be described as an act of war, sir. Was that black uniformed rogue infantryman over there who unloaded his firearm, sir? This man's as impossible to understand as the other ellipses. But I'm almost sure I heard a strange noise during that last thing he said, ellipses. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I heard a kid. So this is the decisive evidence the prosecution was threatening. The soldier is claiming that he actually saw the precise moment you saw the victim dead. Yes, ellipses. Well, are you starting to feel uncomfortable? Never around you, Kazuma. If I'm honest, ellipses, I was feeling uncomfortable from the start.
Now, the court will hear your formal testimony, please. You will state everything you saw at the precise moment at the incident occurred. Also, you will talk at the same time to save time.
Yes, sir. Standing by, ready to report, sir. There's a kid on his back, isn't there? Unsavory memories of a most acerbic afternoon. What the witnesses saw. I was ingesting a regulation beefsteak at the restaurant while having a tactical discussion with the old man. Oh, they were at the same table.
Myself, I was extolling the virtues of a particularly fine golden curio to the military gentleman.
At the precise moment, a firearm was discharged. I observed the enemy's actions with my own eyes. It is a kid. The black uniform's varsity cadet fired on the English civilian, and from the back. Cowardly little weasel. Ooh, there was no exit wound, and he was shot in the front. First contradiction.
I was on my hands and knees investigating the whereabouts of my mysteriously abandoned precious curio.
Oh, he dropped something. Well, so you, Sergeant Nosa, actually witnessed the vital moment. You saw the split second when the defendant fired the weapon at the victim. Yes, sir. Affirmative, sir. That wicked university cadet, sir. Cruel and unforgivable enemy. Oh God, he took out a knife.
What times we live in, when an English gentleman may be assailed in the broad light of day.
But this is ridiculous. I didn't shoot anyone. Is that really true, Ryunosuke?
Yes! All I did was pick up the gun that I saw lying on the floor. After I'd said hello to Dr. Wilson, I went back to my table and sat drinking some coffee. Then, when I'd finished, I got up from the seat to leave the restaurant. Ellipses. Ellipses when I noticed an English-made gun next to the chair where the professor was sitting.
I thought perhaps the professor had dropped it. You know, you're at a fancy restaurant and you drop your gun while you're going to the bathroom. It's happened to all of us. So I bent down, and just as I was picking it up, ellipses, bang! Well, if that's the truth, there was obviously a criminal on the scene somewhere. Somewhere in these two witnesses' testimonies, there's a clue as to who that criminal was. Ooh, the music is very good. There is? Ryunosuke, you must exercise your right to cross-examine the witnesses. Don't make me take my sword out. Cross-examine? Your sword? Do it now. As we have heard, Your Excellency, Ellipses. Ellipses, there is no room for doubt in the testimony of these witnesses. The defendant is clearly guilty. It is time to bring this despicable student to justice.
Certainly. The testimony the court has just heard eliminates any vestige of doubt. Therefore, it is my grave duty to declare the ver-
Wow, I didn't finish talking.
What in the name of the Emperor is the meaning of this outburst? He-Man.
I am, Ellipses. I mean, the defense. Ellipses.
Ellipses demands its right to cross-examination.
Dear me, dear me. Let me guess. The Hachimaki headband boy next door told me to do it. How pathetic.
Huh? How did he know? It's almost like he's sitting opposite of us and can directly see everything we're doing and hear us because we're in the same room.
Prosecution objects. It's a clear waste of time.
You didn't do the big objection thing, man. That's our thing, man.
The defendant obviously has no experience. How can he possibly carry out a cross-examination?
Objection!
Holy crap. The defense is asserting its right to a cross-examination. Whether or not you think he's capable of it is irrelevant. Gulp. Kazuma is so commanding.
Very well. Let the defense conduct a cross-examination of the witnesses.
Alright, this is where the battle really begins, Ryunosuke. But, Ellipses, I don't even know what I have to do in a cross-examination. Isn't it obvious? You have to expose the lies in the witnesses' statements. How? You didn't fire the gun, which means what that soldier said has to be a lie. It was quite obviously a lie, I just pointed it out. Well, yes, but, Ellipses, it's just a case of proving it. And the key to doing that is evidence. Right, Ellipses. Evidence, Ellipses. All you need to do is present some decisive evidence and indisputable evidence that proves the witness is lying. God damn it. Let's go, Ryunosuke. Don't let them beat you. That's my job. What? That was pathetic! Alright then, it's all or nothing, Ellipses. Just slapped it like sweaty hands. Wait, was that Phoenix right? What the witnesses saw. I was ingesting a regulation beefsteak. Blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah.
Yes!
I admit guilt! Ellipses. So this black uniformed university cadet, Ellipses, you're saying that was... Ugh. Just had enough of your sauce, cadet! Who else do you see around here in a black uniform, hmm? Well, there's someone standing right next to me who fits that description as well, but Ellipses. It was you, you little weasel! You unloaded the firearm on that man! From behind his back, and you call yourself a citizen of the great empire of Nippon? You disgust me. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. Oh, he's... Focus, Ryunosuke, focus. What is it, Ryunosuke? It's been 30 seconds. You can't possibly need my help already. I'm not quite sure, Ellipses. It's something that the sergeant just said, but I can't put my finger on it. Something's playing on my mind, Ellipses. In that case, check back over the details of the evidence you've gathered in the court record. And if you find an inconsistency there with what the witness just said, then, Ellipses, don't hold back. Oh, don't worry, Kazuma, I won't. Present the evidence to the court. Thrust it in the witness's face and make him choke on it. If you say so. Here we go.
Yes!
Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. God, guys. Write dialogue. Don't do filler. What are you playing at, cadet? What is this meaning of this insubordination? Thrusting some photographic print in my mustache. Ellipses. Inconsistency, sir. I mean, ellipses. Yes. Slapped it like sweaty hands. Oh my god. There is a clear inconsistency here. Tisk, what nonsense. What can this print possibly tell us that we don't already know? Well, ellipses, obviously ellipses, that, ellipses, I know what I want to say, but the words just won't come out of my mouth. I think this proves beyond any doubt, Your Excellency, ellipses. Ellipses, that there is no place for an amateur student here in the grand courtroom.
Ellipses.
Ugh. This is so frustrating. Oh, please. Surely this doesn't require an explanation. It couldn't be more plain. By my headband, to spell it out would be an insult to the court. Kazuma. What? Ellipses. What are you talking about? It's apparent from a single glance at this photographic print presented by the defense, ellipses, that there's a clear discrepancy here with the sergeant's statement. What? Sergeant Leonosa Nosa. Yes, sir. What, sir? The statement you just made was this. Black uniformed varsity cadet fired on the English civilian, and from the back, the little cowardly weasel. Yes, sir. Affirmative, sir. I witnessed the crime with my own military-grade eyes, sir.
Yes!
But no! Despite yes! That just can't be! And why not, cadet? Because, ellipses. Because, ellipses. Because, ellipses, look to Kazuma for help like a desperate puppy. Take a close look at the print. The victim, Dr. Wilson, died from a bullet wound to the chest. Ah, ellipses. Sergeant, according to your witness statement, ellipses, the culprit shot the victim from behind. And trust me, I'm an expert on that. And that is obviously discrepancy here. Well, how do you explain it? Oh, ellipses, 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 well, ellipses, What ellipses? The ellipses? What was that? Something just popped up from behind his back, but he pushed it down again. Ellipses.
Certainly there's a clear discrepancy with the facts here.
Would you not agree, Sergeant Nosa? Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. Yes, sir, ellipses. At this juncture, that ellipses would appear to be indisputable. Until the moment I heard the firearm discharge, my eyes were ellipses. Aww. Ellipses firmly fixed on the delicious Le Carnival steak. Sir. What? The last testimony the court heard has proven one thing beyond all reasonable doubt. This witness, Sergeant Laisa Nosa, ellipses, did not see the defendant firing a gun at all. Ugh, ellipses. That's absurd, ellipses. I think the conclusion we must draw is simple, ellipses. There is no place for an amateur prosecutor here in this grand courtroom. Focus on my sexy eyes. Kirk. Ellipses. Ah! There's been a complete turnabout in the mood of this trial. Ha ha ha. Reference. Ellipses, just from that one discrepancy. And I turn on my access and say, so this is what being an ace attorney is all about. But, ellipses, I definitely saw him. That university cadet there. He was pointing the firearm directly at the victim's back.
Yes!
Stop admitting guilt! I never fired the gun. All I did was pick it up off the floor. Ellipses. And you, old man. You didn't see the moment the victim was shot either? Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. Myself, I have already been quite clear. The gunshot interested me not. I was far too busy on the floor. Too busy on the floor? Sorry, what were you doing down there? Hunting for treasure. Treasure? What? Indeed, the Hoi Era Koban, my prized coin. On each occasion when I visit the restaurant, ellipses, it is my habitude to place in the bosom pocket a particular trinket of interest from my shop, in the hope of meeting a rich diner who might like to buy it from you. On the day under scrutiny, it was to the military man that I proffered my Hoi treasure. Believed that he would purchase such a rare find. I did not. Wait, why are you talking like Yoda? But I was presented with little alternative. And then, ellipses, after averting my eyes for the briefest of moments, ellipses, it was there no more. It simply vanished. Koban, ellipses, vanished. Hunting around under the table? I was, in case my habit had fallen there. Ellipses. And then it happened. Heard the gunshot, you mean? Indeed I did. But I heeded it not, for I was concerned only with finding my absconded Hoi treasure. Nothing could distract me, sexy glare. Out of interest, ellipses. Ellipses. Do you find the coin? Did you find the coin in the end? Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. No. I see. That lamentable day, ellipses, the precious Hoi Koban was lost to me. No doubt, some unscrupulous scoundrel pocketed the prize coin for himself. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. As I am sure everyone present is aware, ellipses,
Ellipses, this case demands a swift and decisive resolution. Our government has promised to send a full report to Great Britain by telegraph this very afternoon.
Good luck with this trial.
Nevertheless, the witness testimony the court has just heard was inconclusive. No matter how subservient our government feels it must be to the British ellipses, it would be unforgivable to deliver a verdict on this trial right now. Ellipses, what is your proposition, Prosecutor Ochi?
Worry not, Your Excellency. The defendant may have fled a tiger. The defendant may have fled a tiger at the front gate, but he will not. He will find a wolf at the back.
Ellipses. My witnesses have further testimony to make. Explain yourself, He-Man. Upon hearing their next statements, it will become abundantly clear, Ellipses, that there is only one person who could have possibly committed this despicable crime. The equally despicable defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
What? He really seems to have a despicable opinion of you, doesn't he? Takes the wind right out of your bandana, doesn't it? Oh, ellipses. Very well.
Very well. The court invites the witnesses to testify again, despite the fact that they have proven to be unreliable, and draw the proceedings out even further. You will thoroughly explain the reasoning behind the prosecution's allegation. Is that clear?
As clear as Kikoro glass, Your Excellency.
Sir, yes, sir! At once, sir! Awaiting signal to testify, sir!
Excuse me? There's something or someone peeking out over your shoulder, I think, ellipses.
Affirmative! The newest member of the Nosa family to rise up through the ranks, sir. Name, Ahito.
Would seem those straps are a sign of Sergeant being too strapped to afford a nanny.
Ahito.
Ellipses.
Tension! Your father is about to quell the enemy. Watch and learn, my boy.
Oh boy. The true culprit.
Even if what I saw wasn't the precise moment the firearm was discharged, it's almost the same thing. Yes, pointing his gun at the forward man, he was that young lad in black. That much I myself did see, but you were under the table. Furthermore, a visual search of the premises at the time confirmed that they were the only personnel present. Indeed, alone he was, the Englishman, dining all by himself. I swear, it's like, sometimes he's Yoda, sometimes he's not. Therefore, no one other than the black uniformed cadet could have dispatched the Englishman. Over and out! These testimonies are certainly... But I didn't finish! Wait, yes, that's... Ellipses, that's nonsense. The victim, Dr. Wilson, wasn't alone at all. Please, enough of these outbursts already. But there was a woman. There was a young woman at his table. He must have seen her. Everyone there must have seen her.
Attention!
If you call yourself a lawyer, then you will respect the rules of the court and speak accordingly.
You're not here to listen to your fantasies.
Ugh, ellipses.
It is evident beyond all reasonable doubt that the victim was alone at the time of the incident. Prosecution has photographic evidence of this fact. Is this a photographic print of the scene of the crime, counsel? Indeed. Of the table at which the victim was dining, taken by an investigator immediately after the incident. As can be plainly seen, there's only one place set.
Certainly. based on the appearance of this print, ellipses.
Ellipses, it would be reasonable to conclude that the victim was not in the company of anyone else.
Ugh, ellipses, this doesn't make any sense, ellipses. The court will add this new photographic evidence to the record. Photographic print of the crime scene has been added to the record. I don't understand, ellipses. What's going on here? It's just not possible that no one else saw that woman. You don't just imagine women in video games. They have such little role as it is. That waiter before said the same thing. He maintains that Dr. Wilson came into the restaurant alone as well. But that's not true. Ellipses, saw her, ellipses. I swear that I saw a woman with him, ellipses. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses.
It would seem that we'll be able to telegraph the report to Great Britain on time after all. The witnesses' testimonies we have just heard leave no further room for doubt.
These are very sensitive political times, as we all know. The ink is still fresh on the treaty with Great Britain. To think that I, Tachusuke Uchiai, will have contributed to the amity of these two great empires is an honor. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses of despair. How can this be happening? The judge is ready to rule. Stand tall, Ryunosuke. It's not over yet. What? If what you say is true, then there's something going on here behind the scenes. And now is your chance to expose it, to draw out the truth. Ellipses, in your cross-examination. I don't know, Kazuma, ellipses. Your sword is so big.
The defense is entitled to cross-examine the witnesses, but make it quick, understood?
Disc, rules can be so unbending at times. Ugh, ellipses. Blah, 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 blah. I'm gonna have to start pressing.
Yes!
No, it's not the same thing at all. For a start, I didn't fire that gun. We have a difference of opinion on that. The opinion of an uninformed officer versus that of a fledgling cadet. I don't think so, ellipses.
Consider this, defendant.
Ellipses. Just a moment ago, I blinked. Did you? Did you see it? Did you see me blink? How could I? And yet, it is an undeniable fact that I did blink. So there you have it. Ellipses. Have what? Ellipses. Tension! Sound of firearm rang in my ears, and the very next moment, ellipses. Ellipses, I saw you waving the gun at the Englishman. I think that says it all, ellipses, don't you? Grr, ellipses. And let us not forget the antiques dealer, witness, the accused in this most incriminating position as well. Isn't that so, Korakudo-san? Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. Yes, pointing the gun at the foreign man he was, that young lad in black. That much I did see.
Yes!
Yes, it may be true that I was holding the gun at that point in time, ellipses. But I've told you already, that's only because I picked it up off the floor. Well, obviously, as the culprit, it's the only way you could explain it away. I had just finished drinking my coffee and I was about to leave the restaurant when ellipses.
Free gun!
I noticed a gun on the floor at Dr. Wilson's feet, so I picked it up. And that exact moment, ellipses, bang. A gunshot rang in my ears. Full of events beyond our control, life is. Sorry? What do you mean? In your case, you found a pistol on the floor and picked it up, which precipitated this testing predicament. Whereas, conversely, ellipses, I failed to pick up the Koban from the floor and find myself in an equally testing predicament as a result. Ellipses. Anyway, the fact remains, ellipses. Myself, I did see you, with pistol in hand, standing over the foreigner.
Yes!
You must have noticed someone else at Dr. Wilson's table. There was a lady there. As you have been at pains to point out time and again, I feel I'm growing a callus in my ear. And yet, no one else appears to have even caught a glimpse of this woman. Ugh. Ellipses. This is so frustrating. If only there had been more people there at the time, and someone else would have noticed her. Unfortunately, it was already past 2 p.m. when it happened. Lunch rush was over. Quiet time between lunch and dinner in any restaurant. I know, ellipses. Of course the place was almost empty. It's what you'd expect, ellipses.
Certainly 2 p.m. is neither here nor there in terms of a time to eat.
I wonder if there's a reason why the victim was eating at that time of day, and why he was alone. Yes, Your Excellency, there was indeed a reason. There was? This was found in the victim's jacket pocket. What is that, Counsel? It is a medical report card, Your Excellency. It would seem that the victim had an appointment at a clinic prior to visiting the restaurant.
At a clinic, yes, there would indeed appear to be an entry for the date in question. 19th November, noon to past 1 p.m.
The very day of the incident. So the victim went to a late lunch following his appointment. The explanation couldn't be more simple. Who the hell has steak for lunch? Prosecution felt no need to submit this evidence before, as it really has no bearing on the case. I wonder, ellipses. What do you think, Ryunosuke? Gaze into my eyes. Well, it's hard to see how it could be related, really. Remember, you can request for it to be entered into the court record as evidence if you think it could be useful. Should I ask for Dr. Wilson's medical report to be submitted as evidence or not? Ask for it to be submitted.
Yes!
If I may, I'd like to ask that medical report card be submitted as evidence, Your Excellency. On what grounds? Ellipses. The court has already heard conclusive witness testimony. Additional evidence would be extraneous. Not to mention that the victim's movements prior to his arrival at the restaurant are of no concern.
Objection!
Whether or not they are of concern is up to us to decide. We have the right to explore all possible avenues. I beg your pardon? You have no authority to refuse a perfectly valid request for the submission of evidence. Very well.
Very well. The court will grant the defense's request.
Tisk. Youngsters these days are forever asserting their rights. It's a most disturbing trend, ellipses.
Officer, kindly add the victim's medical report card to the court record.
What we need right now is more clues. New clues. Okay. Let me look here. He ate steak. He clearly was eating steak. Oh. Okay, that's thank you for translating. We have to explore things from every possible angle, even if they don't seem relevant at first. Right, I hear you. You can conspire to prolong this trial as much as you'd like, but it's the day after the festival already for you. I don't get these references. Or perhaps you'd forgotten. Ellipses. These witnesses' testimonies leave no room for doubt. Feel free to reiterate for the accused, Korokoto-san.
Yes!
So you, Ellipses, actually saw that with your own eyes, did you? The victim, Dr. Wilson, dining alone. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. That I did. Forgive me for the position I place you in. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. So the testimonies of the old man, the soldier, and the waiter all agree on that point. Isn't that interesting? And let us not forget, ellipses, the incontestable evidence that we have to support their statements as well. As can clearly be seen, ellipses, there is only a single beefsteak on the victim's table, a meal for one. He could have been feeding her. It's a high-class restaurant. They do that. No, ellipses. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses stare sexily into the void. The antiques dealer, the sergeant, and the waiter who testified before ellipses. It's not possible that they are all lying. But if so, ellipses, then why? I'm perfectly honest, I have absolutely no idea. Therefore, no one other than the black uniformed cadet could have dispatched the Englishman. Over and out.
Yes!
Why aren't you telling the truth? What? What did you say, cadet? Ellipses? I clearly remember ellipses. We all remember ellipses. There was a woman sitting across the table from the professor. Perhaps one of you might not have noticed ellipses. Ellipses, but for both of you to have failed to see the professor's dining companion, it's just not possible. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. Unfortunately for you, defendant Naruto, it's just a case of these two witnesses alone. Sorry, ellipses? The waiter, whose testimony the court heard earlier, clearly stated the same thing. He also said the victim was alone. That's right, ellipses. Precisely. In other words, ellipses. Ellipses, you are the sole proponent of this phantom lady. But I, ellipses. If such a woman were indeed present at the scene, the prosecution demands to see proof. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. And if no such proof exists, ellipses, the prosecution demands that no further mention of this phantom woman be made. It is a blatant waste of the court's time. There's nothing I can say to that, ellipses. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. Sure. Excellent work, Ryunosuke. We've gleaned some new information now. Well, yes, but I don't feel like it changes much. I can't see that it brings any real discrepancies to light. I wouldn't be so sure. Let me see that medical report card you got before. Oh, you mean this? That I tried to look at myself, but I'm not a big boy, so I can't read it without the NPC's help? Yes. This is a brand new piece of evidence, ellipses. Ellipses, so perhaps we should examine it in a little more detail. How exactly? You'll notice that some pieces of evidence bear a magnifying glass. Yes, I tried to do that. These are the ones you may examine. Press A, and you can take a closer look at the piece in question. It's directional. Oh. ... Ellipses. To rotate the evidence in all directions to examine it from all angles, which is what I want to do with that business card I was given. By using Ooh. And shoot it with the gun like you did that old man. Ellipses. You can move the crosshairs around to hunt for clues that you may have missed before. The crosshairs start to pulsate. Ellipses. Ellipses. Press A to investigate further. You know about pulsating, don't you, Ryunosuke? So, partner, ellipses, I think you should take a close look at this medical report card. See if there isn't something new to be learned to examining in more detail, okay? Yes. I want to flip this over. Can't. It won't let me. Okay. It looks like this medical report card was first issued quite some time ago. It's probably a record long-term treatment, that's why. With a family doctor, I imagine. Well, I can't imagine. Going to a doctor, I mean. As long as I'm alive, I've never consulted one. Well, if you were dead, there'd be no point. Ellipses. So you don't like doctors, then? Why would you? They make you drink horrible-tasting medicine. They give you painful injections. Ellipses. Ellipses. And then they demand lots of money from you for the privilege, ellipses. All while you're at your lowest ebb. They're kind of like prostitutes. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. You sound like a model patient. With a bad case of stubbornness, no less, for which the only cure is very bitter medicine indeed. It's creased. Let's have a look. This is some kind of medical history. Ellipses. Ah, there's an entry for the day the professor was killed. Extraction of molar with topical anesthesia. Ellipses. Okay, so he had a rotten tooth and he had it pulled. That's a pretty common procedure in any era. Extraction of molar? You mean he had a tooth taken out? It would seem so. Just before the incident, he'd had a bad tooth removed. Perhaps they used laughing gas. That's the most modern practice in the West for pain relief. Yes, I've heard of this anesthesia. Although it's hard to believe there's anything that can actually stop you feeling pain. Ah, there's a cautionary note from a medical practitioner as well. Strictly no food or drink besides water for 3 hours post-procedure until anesthetic effects have passed. It wasn't his dinner. Really? Sounds like information worth bearing in mind. This information has been updated. With this new information, ellipses, the meaning of that one particular statement totally changes. So, I think it's time we listen to the testimony again, don't you? Definitely! Alright. Take this, old man.
Yes!
Well, I think, ellipses, I think I fucked up. Self a lawyer. I wish I could, ellipses, but first and foremost here, I'm the accused. Ryunosuke, ellipses. Everyone stumbles on their words occasionally. Under the circumstances, I wouldn't worry about it. Thanks, Kazuma. I could see it quite clearly in that cross-examination you just carried out. I watch you very closely. When you raised your hand straight up like that, so purposefully, ellipses, you knew exactly what it is you wanted to say. Ellipses? Don't feel like you have to choose your words carefully. Just say what you're thinking. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. All right, ellipses, and thanks for the advice. Kuroko-san, this is a medical report card belonging to the victim. Ah, I see, ellipses, and ellipses. I don't see. What of it, boy? Comparing what is written in the report card with your witness statement, ellipses. Slap. Ellipses, clearly something doesn't add up. Dear me, dear me. Have you forgotten my words so soon, you amateur? Sorry? What? Ellipses? You are not to interrupt court proceedings with your amateurish drivel. But, ellipses, let's see if I can explain it in words you might understand. It was after 2 p.m. in the afternoon when the victim was murdered at the restaurant. Whatever he may or may not have done before that time is completely irrelevant. It's so not. Grr, ellipses, but that's ellipses. Ellipses. Remember, Ryunosuke, you don't have to use clever language or fancy words. Just stare sexily at them. Just make your point. Your Excellency, I believe we're finished here. There is surely no need to prolong this trial further. Ellipses. Witnesses' testimonies the court has heard have been clear and concise. The medical report card has no bearing on the matter at all, for the simple reason that ellipses, there is no one else besides the pale-faced... Oh, I didn't press that. This medical report card has nothing to do with the case. Do you really believe that? What? Ellipses? The outburst half petrified me, boy. Of course I believe it. How could it possibly be relevant? Well, perhaps Hotel Clinic, which issued the report card, ellipses, is a dental clinic. A dental clinic? Is that supposed to mean something to me? Perhaps if I told you that the victim, ellipses, just had a tooth extracted, ellipses? Ellipses. What's this now, ellipses? And furthermore, ellipses, if I told you that as a result the victim had been forbidden from eating, ellipses, Just what are you trying to say, cadet? He had orders not to eat, so what? It's all written up in here. No food or drink other than water for the 3 hours post-procedure while anesthesia wears off. Because, you know, if you eat with anesthesia after the doctors, you can really tear your mouth up. Because you don't feel things quite as well, and sometimes the teeth don't line up after that kind of procedure, and you can bleed pretty badly. What? No, that can't. Ellipses. Kurokoto-san. What, boy? What?
as you just heard, Ellipses. When he was killed, sometime shortly after 2 p.m. Ellipses. Ellipses, the victim couldn't have been eating anything at all. No, Ellipses. Additionally, Ellipses. There's more, Ellipses? You have assured the court with unwavering self-confidence, Ellipses, that the victim was dining alone. But that cannot possibly be the case. Grrr, Ellipses. Because the victim, as we now know, Ellipses just had one of his teeth extracted and was still experiencing the effects of the anesthetic. Waha! Expertly done, Ellipses, partner. Aww.
Objection!
What? Ellipses, what is this nonsense? You little upstart! Ellipses. These are baseless accusations. Just look at the photographic evidence. You can clearly see the plate of food at the victim's table.
Objection!
Use your head. Like my bandana. It's a very discrepancy we're talking about. Or you can't follow the logic. Follow my gaze of sexy eyes. How dare you? I think it's fair to say the tables in this restaurant case, Ellipses, have turned. Wouldn't you agree, Ryunosuke? Yes, most definitely. I understand what is going on. So, having just undergone some dental surgery, the victim was unable to eat. Which leaves one very crucial conundrum, Ellipses. Who in fact was eating the pictured beef steak? And who the hell eats steak at 2 p.m.? The court will hear the opinion of the defense on this new puzzle. I assume you're ready, counsel. Ellipses. Counsel? Oh, that means me, doesn't it? Alright, the answer to this question is going to be pivotal. This is the start of you turning this trial around. Show them what you're made of. Got it. So, Ellipses. The person eating the steak at the victim's table must have been... It was me! I was eating the steak, god damn it! The as of yet known third party, I'm pretty sure. The two witnesses couldn't have been there because they were at a different table. Victim himself couldn't do it because he had the doctor's report. It wasn't me because no one fucking eats steak at 2 p.m. He did it! He did it! He slammed the desk! Obviously, it can only have been someone else who was sitting at the professor's table.
Objection!
Will not let this go, will you? There was no such person.
Yes!
There was, because I saw her, and I don't notice women that often. When the incident occurred, we know the victim couldn't have been eating anything. Yet we have evidence of a half-eaten steak on his table. Therefore, the only logical conclusion is that there was somebody else there eating it. Rawr, Ellipses. We have strong evidence to support our assertion. It's clear that these witnesses' testimonies are unreliable. As unreliable as the wind blowing through my bandana and nothing else. If the court decides to push through a ruling at this stage, Ellipses, we will lodge a formal complaint with the Ministry of Justice and pursue a fair retrial relentlessly. Kazuma, Ellipses. Are you insane? You would take on the government? Don't worry, counsel. I have no issue with you. My bandana demands blood. What do you mean? I have issue with
Them. The two witnesses in the stand. What? Ellipses? What are you talking about? We have demonstrated with evidence the victim was not alone. So, if it turns out the two of you deliberately lied when giving your testimonies, ellipses, my bandana will punish you. Ellipses, obviously you will be charged with perjury. Perjury, ellipses. And since this is a murder trial, ellipses, you will also be deemed complicit in the killing. Complicit? Ellipses in murder? Ellipses? No, 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 no! Negative. There was no mention of this at the tactical meeting. I was just following orders. That's right, as a man says. Just say you never saw the gentlewoman. That's what ellipses ellipses told ellipses us ellipses. Ellipses. Oh. What? What did you just say, Korakuto-san? Oh, ellipses. No, ellipses. You were just following orders? Now, hold on, lad. I was, ellipses. Say you never saw the gentlewoman? Grr, ellipses. When you say gentlewoman, do you mean ellipses? Ellipses, you saw the victim with a lady from overseas? What?
Objection!
What? What is the meaning of all this? These witnesses, ellipses, gave false statements? Is this true, you pair? Ellipses. Just one, ellipses. Just one simple slip of the tongue. Order! Counsel, explain what is going on here. It's painfully clear now, ellipses. You tried to prevent these witnesses from telling the truth. Endure my sexy looks. Absolutely not! Endure my sexy looks! The prosecution knows nothing of this. Then who's behind this? Who tried making you keep your mouth shut? Well, ellipses, that's classified. So you're prepared to be tried as conspirator to this murder, are you? You wouldn't, ellipses. This can't be happening. Ryunosuke, ellipses. Judging from the way they're reacting to this, ellipses, I'd say they are sworn to silence by someone with considerable influence. However, ellipses, I don't believe Ochi had any idea about it. Yeah, it's not really in his personality. Pain and this guy, or this model, or the first prosecutor, he's not a liar. What are you saying? I mean, to wield that kind of influence, ellipses, there are only a handful of possibilities. It could only have been the government, the military, or ellipses, or the police, I suppose, ellipses. Well? Any ideas about who might be behind this? If we can affirm who tried to silence these witnesses, then we can continue our pursuit. So we need to name whoever it was that tried to make the witnesses keep their mouths shut, ellipses. Of course, we'll need evidence before we make any firm accusations. Evidence that proves whoever it really did wield his or her power here, ellipses. But how? How can we possibly, ellipses? Remember how we made progress before? Oh, don't I know it. Over coffee, the nice English restaurant. Oh, you meant the case. Before, ellipses? We examined this piece of evidence in more detail and found a new clue as a result. Oh yes, that's right. Well, it's not the only piece of evidence we have, is it? We need to re-examine everything and make sure there's nothing we've missed. There's no time to lose. I want answers. Alright. Court record. Time of death shortly after 2 p.m. No exit wound. Did not pass through the body. And we know he picked up the gun and saw him from behind. Alright. Steak. Yeah, I thought so. That's unexpected. What is it? Look, do you see what it says, the witness's name here? Satoru Hosonaga. Well, yes, business cards do tend to show the person's name. That's sort of the point. It's not the name that's unexpected. It's his job title. His job, ellipses? Oh! Chief Inspector Saratoga? Saratuyo Hosonaga, Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau. Inspector? What on earth? Oh no. All cops are bad. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. I have no idea. Let's face it, the police have a lot of power and influence if they're wielding it somehow here, ellipses. Okay, that's what I wanted to do from the beginning.
If it's proven that these witnesses have been manipulated, I assure you the penalty will be severe. Please. Ellipses, wait, Ellipses, Your Excellency. I had no idea about any of this. I swear to every Shinto god. I knew nothing. And what does the defense have to say about all this? Well, Your Excellency. Ugh, no time to think, Ellipses. I'm just going to have to close my eyes and shout out the first name that comes into my head.
Besides the prosecution, the only person with the necessary influence to manipulate the witness is...
Yes!
Well, surely that would be... Ellipses, Saratu Hosonaga-san. Hosonaga-san? The waiter who took the stand earlier?
Objection!
Poppycock! What possible reason could the waiter have to make these witnesses give false testimony? Not to mention the fact that even a head waiter could not have possibly have that level of influence. For once, I would agree with you. Think with your headband. If that is the man truly were a waiter. What? Ellipses? If he truly were? Come on, Ryunosuke. Time to hit this court with the truth. The truth about Saratoga Hosanaga's real identity as proven by this evidence.
Yes!
The plan of the restaurant sketched by the man in question? I agree. It shows a great deal of attention to detail, but I'm not sure we can conclude anything. Sorry, Your Excellency. That's the back of the card. It's the back, ellipses, of the back of the card that's of interest. You mean the front. Ellipses, beg your pardon? Or perhaps I should have said the front? Yes!
Smack! Yes! It's the front of the back of the card! That's where the telling is!
Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses.
Would somebody please explain what this overexcited student is trying to say? Hosanaga-san sketched the plan of the restaurant on the reverse side of his business card. The front of that business card reveals the man in question's profession, his true profession. The waiter's profession? But that's surely ellipses. Good. Ellipses, good gracious! That's right, Your Excellency. The card reads Chief Inspector, Primary Criminal Investigation, Division, Imperial Police Bureau. What? The waiter is, ellipses, a police detective? I haven't heard any mention of this before. Why haven't I heard any mention of this before? The Imperial Police Bureau has immense power, absolute power, as far as regular civilians are concerned, much like my bandana over the wind. So witnesses there in the stand, ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. Was it in fact the waiter who gave you your orders? Was it he who told you not to mention what you'd seen this foreign gentlewoman at the scene? Well, ellipses. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. Inspector Hosanaga! I was worried something like this may happen. The moment you asked me to submit my sketch as evidence, I realized it was a possibility.
The court will take this plan and add it to the court record as evidence.
Oh, ellipses, well, ellipses.
Is there a problem, He-Man? Hand the plan to the court officer at once or be destroyed.
Of course. Here you are. Yes, I remember now, ellipses. It's almost like it happened just a few minutes ago. He did act strangely when the judge asked him to hand over his business card. I strive to carry out all investigations flawlessly. It's my guiding principle. But I let myself be distracted when I made that sketch. It was an unusually careless mistake. So, ellipses, you mean to say, ellipses, you really are a detective? I, as a prosecutor, should have known who the chief investigator was, but I guess not. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. But why would a detective be working as a restaurant waiter? Ah, of course! Your salary must be terrible! I was working undercover. Undercover, ellipses. I'm pretty sure your salary is still terrible. Yes, there have been a series of incidents at the restaurant recently. In order to investigate, I decided to get a job there as a waiter, working undercover. Incidents at the restaurant? What kind of incidents? That would be classified police information, which I am not at liberty to divulge. However, I can state categorically that they are unrelated to this case of homicide. Ellipses.
Very well then, Inspector Hosanaga, but you will elaborate on one point for the court, ellipses.
Of course, Your Excellency.
We have just heard new information from the two witnesses beside you. That at the time of the shooting, there was in fact another person present at the victim's table.
Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses.
If that is indeed true, ellipses, clearly you have been aware of this person's presence, having served at the table in question. However, your testimony did not allude to this other diner. Therefore, I am led to assume, ellipses, that in your professional capacity as a police officer, you required these witnesses to be in agreement. Would that be correct?
Ahem. Ellipses. Ahem. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. Correct, Your Excellency. Unbelievable. I suspected, ellipses. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses.
Bang! As soon as I heard the gunshot, I ran out of the kitchen to see what happened. Victim sat slumped in his chair, and beside him, gun in hand, stood the accused student. Sitting opposite the victim at the table was a young lady whom I guessed to be an Englishwoman. So the truth comes out. I immediately sealed off the restaurant and reported the incident to the Bureau. It was then that I received some, ellipses, special orders. Special orders? You mean to say, ellipses, remove the Englishwoman from the scene at once. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. It was made clear that the Englishwoman's presence at the restaurant was to be concealed. These were my orders. But what if the Englishwoman was the killer? I think it would be in everyone's best interest not to pursue that idea. Ellipses. The Empire views the friendly terms of its relationship with Britain more highly than anything at the moment. An Englishman has been murdered on our soil. To name an Englishwoman as a primary suspect, ellipses. Well, without irrefutable evidence, that would be completely out of the question. So that's the reason for the disappearance of the Phantom Woman in this case. But it's not right, ellipses. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. Ellipses, one possibility does spring to mind. What do you mean, Kazuma, ellipses? Yume University is currently hosting a number of exchange students from Great Britain. And I'm fairly certain that one of them, studying in the medical faculty's research laboratory, ellipses, is a young English woman. What? Ellipses, you're a shrewd man. I can see why you're the chosen candidate for the overseas study tour. Ellipses, you mean ellipses? When I removed the woman from the scene of the crime, ellipses, I thought it prudent to check on her identity first. And the court demands that you name the lady in question at once, Inspector! The English woman sitting at the university professor's table was a certain Miss Jezeel Brett. Oh. Jezeel Brett. Like Jezebel? Oh no. It's that woman's ancestor, isn't it? She is indeed a foreign student studying in the research laboratory of Yume University's medical research faculty. What? Ellipses. What is happening here? I admit that under orders from the police bureau, I erased all evidence of this lady's presence at the scene, ellipses. Ellipses, and ordered these witnesses to make no mention of her testimonies. It must be up to your excellency how to deal with the situation. Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. Very well. My thoughts on the matter are as follows, ellipses. Thus far, the case presented to the court has been underpinned by a particularly critical premise. Namely, that the victim was dining alone. Ellipses? However, as we have now discovered that this premise is false, ellipses, it would be a desecration of our justice system to ignore the truth and give a ruling at this point.
Objection!
But, Your Excellency, that would mean missing the noon deadline of a ruling in order to send the telegraph report to Britain. Our own government will surely be very displeased by such actions. Calm yourself, Counsel. Calm yourself, Counsel. I will not allow the government of our country or any other to influence the proceedings of my courtroom. Ugh. Inspector Hasanaga. Ellipses.
Yes, sir.
You will locate this Jaziel Brett and escort her to the courtroom with utmost urgency.
Okay.
At once, Your Excellency. But that means you're going against the special orders you were given from the police bureau.
Ellipses, ellipses, ellipses. As I said before, ellipses. Ellipses, it is my guiding principle to carry out all investigations flawlessly. So, it won't be a problem?
Ahem, 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 ahem.
Oh, God, Guy, why are you even working? You should have gone to the doctor. Nothing will get in my way, not even Corona.
Court will adjourn briefly to allow the player to save because goddamn, it's been like 3 hours. Prosecution must call the English student Jaziel Brett to the witness stand. Do I make myself clear? Bring me Jaziel Brett!
Yes. Ellipses. Ellipses, Your Excellency.
Good. Then we will have a 30-minute recess before the reconvening.
Oh, wow. That was more than I was expecting, especially for the first episode. Yes, please. Oh, God, please. Yes. Okay. All right. That's enough of that.